It is that time of the year again. We have hit our first frost date here in Indiana, which means it is time to winterize the chicken coops. And not to be dramatic, but this literally ruins my life every year. Just because I cannot stand the cold. I'm pretty sure I go through the full 7 stages of grief every time the weather turns because I am just not mentally or physically equipped to deal with the cold. But this has to be done, so let's get into it and I'll show you what we do. So this is my main coop. This is my personal flock. These aren't my breeders. These are just what I have for pets. And this is my main free-ranging flock. That's why the coop is currently empty. They're out running around having a good time. But this is the coop. I'm going to show you what we do. We do the same process for all of our coops. It's the same idea. Main thing I'm trying to do is keep them dry and out of the wind. Fortunately in Indiana our winters aren't that bad. So first order of business is going to be fixing up the muckiness. It's been raining the last couple of days and it's really muddy in there, so we're going to take care of that first. And also we're going to be swapping out our water bowls. If you were curious what it's like to live with ducks, these water bowls were clean this morning. Just a couple hours later they're completely trashed, but it's okay, we're swapping it out anyways. So let's get to fixing the substrate first. First thing I'm going to do is to soak up the muck with some horse bedding pellets. This is just wood shavings that are pelletized. I also like to use the bags of shavings. That works just fine too, but this is what I had on hand, so that's what we're going to put down. So these pellets are going to expand and absorb all the muck here. It takes a little while to start working, but it'll look a lot better here after a while. But since we do have ducks in this run and they do not sleep inside the coop, they only sleep out in the run no matter what the temperature is, I want to give them a nice dry soft layer to lay on top of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another layer. So typically for that I will use wheat straw, but we're actually out of wheat straw. I have to pick some up this weekend, but instead I'm going to use a free resource around the homestead, which is pine straw. Alright, we are starting to look better. This is the area where the ducks tend to like to rest at night, so we're going to concentrate all the pine needles there. Okay, next let's talk water bowls. So most of the year we use metal pan like this. It's nice and big and wide. I like big pans like this because we do have ducks out here and they just go through an astronomical amount of water. However, once we get below freezing, this doesn't work anymore. It'll freeze over. So we're gonna put that one up. And we like to use the heated dog bowl waterers. This particular brand is Farm Innovators. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Farm Innovators. It seems like most of their products that involved some type of a heating element, like their incubators and their other waterers, they just do not work well. And we've gone through tons of them, especially the rabbit waterers. I'm just not a fan. However, we have pretty good luck with these dog bowl waterers. And these are especially good because they're nice and deep for the ducks so they can clean out their bills. And another thing, if you are going to be using a heated water bowl, do not put it inside your enclosed coop. Only keep it in your open air run like we have. I made the mistake of putting a heated water bowl in our enclosed coop the first year we had chickens, and what ended up happening was the next morning the entire walls and just everything inside the coop was just covered in frost, and our chickens ended up getting really bad frostbite that year. And I think that is why, because it was just so humid from all the warm water evaporating from the water bowl. So do not do that. Only keep your heated water bowls outside. Also in this coop and in all of the rest of our coops that don't have electricity, we are going to be using these rubber water bowls. And this is so whenever these inevitably freeze over, we can just chuck them really hard on the ground, and since they're flexible, the ice will break but the bowl doesn't. You can't do that with a metal or a plastic bowl. So these are absolutely worth the investment from day one. And I think they're actually made out of recycled tires, which is pretty cool too. So definitely invest in these. Also, since they're black, it takes a little bit longer for the water to freeze, just because it's going to absorb more of the sun. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the inside. It looks good to go for now. I'll probably add some more straw once we actually get it here, but for tonight this will be just fine. So now what we want to do is block the wind, and for that I'm going to use tarps. And I like using tarps because I can use them in the garden to suppress weeds all spring and summer. And then in the winter, when I'm done with that, they can come over and they can be placed on the animal housing. I've seen a lot of people this year talk about using shower curtains for wrapping their coop. And that is a cheap alternative. However, the problem with that is there aren't grommets all the way around a shower curtain like there are for a tarp. So I'm not sure how those people are completely attaching the shower curtain to their coop. But here we just get way too much wind. You could probably hear it. Hopefully my microphone's cutting it out, but we just get way too much wind. So if I put a zip tie through the shower curtain, within a day, it's just going to flop itself to being ripped and blown in the wind, and that just completely defeats the purpose. So that is why we use tarps. They are pretty inexpensive, especially in the summertime if you buy them. Rural King had a really good deal where they were only a couple of dollars this year. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, tarps, in my opinion, are the way to go. So I have zip ties and my tarps, and we're just gonna wrap the back and work our way around to about half of the side. A hack for you if you're trying to loop these in hardware cloth is if you bend the tip of the zip tie so it's curved like that, it's easier to thread through to where you can get it to attach it. So here is the back side, and we are going to line the bottom here with riprap to keep it from blowing around. Another thing we do, this coop has a window for ventilation, and we've already shut it, but we do shut it most of the way. We keep it cracked just about an inch just to keep some airflow going through so you don't have that humidity building up like I talked about earlier. So make sure you get the windows as well. Hopping in here real quick just to add, because I forgot to mention it. So we've got the tarp wrapped all the way around this side of the run because that there is the entrance to the actual coop. So the coop itself, we don't have to do anything for. It's good pretty well year round. So it's made of wood, it has a roof, so it is nice and dry, there are no drafts, and we use flat 2x4s for our roofs in there year round. So the coop is good, we don't have to do anything. Most of our winterization revolves around the run. Another question I see get asked a lot is, should I use a heat lamp in my coop during winter? We have never used a heat lamp in our coops for adult birds. I do use heat lamps in my brooders when I'm raising chicks, but that's the only time. Even during the polar vortexes, we never used a heat lamp for any of our birds because during that time they were all fully feathered and it just wasn't necessary. We do have heritage breeds. The breed does matter, but for us, no heat lamps. And that is it, guys. That's all that we do to winterize our chicken coop. We don't do anything else besides what I showed you in this video. This has worked well for us for the past 7 years, including during polar vortexes, which those were not fun, but this system worked out perfectly. Is it the most beautiful system? No, it's not, but we are all about function here over form. Another thing on my winter to-do list is, since the birds have stopped laying, I'm going to worm all of them. I'm not going to talk about that in this video, but if that's something you're interested in, leave a comment down below and I'll make a video on how I worm my birds every fall. Another thing I do with the chickens during winter is I will switch their feed over to all-flock feed instead of layer pellets because I like the higher protein when it's cold and they're not laying anymore. So that's also on my to-do list. Alright guys, I can't feel my face anymore. I'm gonna go inside. That is it for today's video. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to see more videos in the future, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.